Sonia Barrett here once again, and today I'm going to chat a little bit about relationships and expectations. So I have had a couple of responses saying, "How come you never say anything about relationships?" And so, to me, it is kind of a big subject. It's small, but at the same time, it's got a lot of depth depth to it to be covered. So I'm just going to touch on some of the main components I feel that can actually really maybe set someone's mind free in terms of their situation and maybe questions and decisions that they're trying to make about their own relationship. Well, the first thing, of course, for me is that all relationships work. I realize that for myself, and I realize that across the board. When I examined all of what I experienced in a relationship, for better or for worse, it was evident that that relationship was gifting me with something. It was part of my own evolution. And I see that across the board. So when we say a relationship didn't work, it's not that it didn't work, it ran its course. And either you feel that you've outgrown each other, and when we feel that we've outgrown each other, it's simply because we have gotten everything. Both parties obviously have gotten everything that they needed out of the relationship, supplying maybe the changes or whatever that contribution is to one's evolution. It has been supplied up until that point, and the relationship is not able to take one on the rest of the journey in terms of those additional components that are needed. So there's some people that will find themselves in many relationships, a number of relationships, and it's not a good or bad thing. It's just the way that they have chosen to learn about themselves, to understand themselves. The thing is that most often people don't realize that that's what's happening. It's your own self that you're trying to evolve. You're seeking this for. And so many times the gifts are missed. The things that can be taken in to really evolve us are missed. And so people end up in a pattern of maybe the same kind of relationship. And many times when it's a relationship that it seems to be maybe severe in, could be emotional, for lack of a better word, abuse, use that word, emotional or physical, the person may end up going into the same situation again. And a lot of times it intensifies until we get it, until something clicks and you go, whoa, wait a second. So without getting deeply into that aspect, just the key thing to realize is that whatever relationship you are in now, whatever relationship you were in, or whatever relationship you will get involved in, there is something in you that is requiring what that person is going to provide you with. Whatever the information is that that person has is, I guarantee you, it is going to be based on what is in your subconscious mind. It's once again, it's beliefs that you have. It's things about yourself, um, and that's what draws that individual into your life experience. Again, most often what we see is what is being done to us or what that person is not doing. And so the focus most often is external. We focus on what appears to be on the outside of us, as opposed to looking on the inside as to what is it that's drawing this experience. Where does the evolution come in for me? And so, with that said, we can move from that understanding into the expectations then that we now have. So we have these expectations, what we expect from the person, what we expect from the relationship. And many times the people that we get involved with, they are who they are from the very beginning. And so it's not that they suddenly change, but many times it's what we choose to see, during the courtship or in certain periods of the relationship. And then suddenly, over time, we look at the person as having changed, and maybe we just have to look at ourselves. How much of a, what was our blinders like? I mean, how blindfolded were we? Were we just choosing to ignore these components in that person? And then it still goes back to you, because even if you had blinders on, there's a reason why you had blinders on, because now you needed to not see or not want to embrace the truth about how this person is, because you had to go on that journey. I know, because I've done it. You had to go on that journey. And, for whatever this person is going to um, give to you in your life, it's going to perhaps test your how you feel about yourself. It's going to test your own self-esteem, test your love for self, your potential. It's going to test so many things about us. And we can go back to not examining what it's really testing in us, especially when we turn around and what we want to do is we want to fix that person. We want to, fix that person so that it fits into uh, the view that we have of ourselves, as opposed to looking at, again, ourselves. So I think for me, those are really important factors to look at. There's such an evolution that comes from it, just from my own personal experience. When you begin to do that and you really look at yourself, and the growth that can happen. And not only that, many times what the relationship appears to be begins to transform because you're changing. And so that person no longer has to hold that position, that is accommodating of where you are in that moment, where you are at that time, in the truth that you hold about yourself. So that person seems to begin to change because they no longer have to do that for you. They don't have to support that. And so sometimes the relationship can either get stronger and there's an evolution that appears to happen for both parties, or they go their separate ways. But they work for that period of time. They work. And the other thing, with much of this movement, this spiritual awareness movement, there's the thought of people looking for their soulmate or their twin flame. And for me, it's never about that focus. You see, we dissect ourselves, or we fragment ourselves in. We fragment our experiences. And so because of that, it makes us tunnel vision. Because now we have these expectations around the concept of what a soulmate is or a twin flame, and then we start looking for that. So once again, you're looking outside of yourself for something. And the it's not about being with somebody that's just like you, because now we have to look at the idea of compatibility. Compatibility doesn't mean that we like all the same things. It doesn't mean that. What I have found is that many times it's the person that is just so opposite you, but it still works. There's a balance, but you don't like exactly the same things. You just don't think exactly the same way. Well, what if you're looking at the idea of twin flame or soulmate? What if it is the two opposite halves that come together to make a whole? What if that's how that works? And not two same pieces, but you've got the two opposites and you put them together and then now it makes more of a whole. And so when in this spiritual movement, we have a lot of people looking for somebody that is going to believe exactly as they believe. Their consciousness, they've got to be, they're not on my level, whether it be their mate, husband, wife, or whatever, a partner. They're not exactly, they're just not as aware as I am. I'm growing, but they're not. And and I hear that. And to me, that's not the focus. The focus is always gonna be on you and where you are and the growing that you will do. Because I tell you what, when you are focused on your growth, whatever is going to happen with that relationship, that growth is going to make it either keep going or it's going to make it split apart. And that's just the way it is. Why? Because you're growing, and that growth is going to require um, things to shift to accommodate that growth as you go along. And that is basically what is happening. So I say, take your mind off of trying to find your soulmate or your twin flame or the ideal relationship. The ideal relationship is always going to show up according to you and where you are and your belief systems and your baggage that you drag around with you, which goes into your belief system about relationships and about yourself. So what is that? So let's dig into that. And then there are people who are expecting these certain mates that they, in their minds, they are up here, right? But maybe that person would not readily want to be part of your behavior and your belief system. That person that you have on this pedestal, this ideal individual, maybe that wouldn't work for you. Maybe that individual wouldn't work well with who you are right now. So again, it just comes back to evaluating yourself and not looking so much on the other person as to what the other person is. It has nothing to do with anything. It's you. That other person is only in your life because of something in you that keeps bringing has brought that person in or keeps bringing in that kind of personality. So when somebody says, I just have no luck with relationships, it has nothing to do with luck. It has to do with you. It has to do with you and something in you, just like everything else that is a frequency pattern. Everything else, everything that measures. I say it's resonance. It's what resonates. So there is some sort of resonance, some resonating field that is sort of magnetically pulling something that some sort of attraction, something that's that there's a like, a similarity in there, something that's pulling it. Why maybe you keep getting the same kind of person, same kind of relationship all the time. You got to look at that. It all starts with you. All starts with you, your patterns, what you've seen in your in relationships, maybe with your parents or family members as you're growing up, the belief systems that were created behind that, what you've strongly said you weren't going to do and not going to have, and then that closed off your heart as well. You know, how open are you? I mean, are you very protective of your heart, and your emotions, which then doesn't really open the door for you to freely love or to receive love because you're busy protecting yourself. And what are you protecting yourself from? So those things, I do believe that we have to look at. Um, there's another point I wanted to make. Um, Now, also, I think on the level of, okay, I'm just bringing this up real briefly, not getting into it, but monogamy, polygamy, whatever floats your boat. If that's what you want to do, if you're okay with being in a relationship where there's several people involved, that's up to you. You have to, however, be truthful to yourself about what is it that makes me want to do this? What is it in me that I am satisfying, that I'm needing to satisfy? Why I find that I need to do this? And then so a lot of times there's a sense of disqualifying the idea of just a one-on-one relationship of just two people. Um, so we have to look at that, because what I have found is in many of those situations, and again, this is not a judgment, this is an observation. Many times there's more to it than meets the eye as to why we do what we do with anything. So we have to look at that. I have met people in those kinds of relationships, and they've expressed they're not happy, but at the same time, they don't really want to say that they're not happy. It's almost a guilt in a way of feeling that your maybe I'm going to use the word ego is not allowing you to just be part of that experience, and there's jealousy involved. So we get these psychological trips about and making the individual feel guilty about those choices. You got to be honest with yourself about everything. You got to look at the whole thing. uh, Monogamy, there's that one-on-one relationship where even those situations are flawed, where you can't trust the person, there's jealousy involved, and you got to look at that for yourself too. Is it about that person? No, it's not about you, because if you have to keep tabs on somebody, if you have to keep track of them, if you're always worried that they're going to be doing something, then you got to look at you. Why are you so scared, and why are you still in that relationship then, if you are constantly worried that this is going to happen? Oh, and then you say, well, no, that the person cheated on me before. Okay, so now you have agreed to get back with this person or to forgive that person. Um, so then you have to look at that. Did you really forgive the situation? It's all about being honest with yourself. But what I do know is this. Well, okay, I can only talk from my own personal standpoint. I time there. Okay, I was going to say I don't have the time. But in this reality, as we understand time, I do not have that kind of time or interest to keep track of anybody. I don't have to. I don't. I have other things to do, and if that person can't doesn't feel like they need to be honoring of our relationship, then at that point, then I would need to make some decisions. That's how I see it. You can do whatever you want to do. If you want to be with, 5 people, that's fine. That's not my reality, though. So I can't be part of that. I'm not mad at you, but that's not, well, I'm not going to say I'm not going to be mad, but I'm not going to be happy about it. But I can't participate in that if that's what you want to do. But I'm already clear on what I want to do. But the to me, the ideal is that unspoken trust that you have with that person, that unspoken trust, and you just go about your lives. And it's not about being underneath each other all the time either. It's about being able to be individuals and at the same time be whole. So there's, to me, there's all these um, pieces, and I see there's so much pressure then that goes into our relationships because of what we place, the expectations that we place on another person. And so I think we have to decide if these are things that we can live with about the individual, and with that individual. We have to really make that decision, if that's something that we can do or not do. But it doesn't mean that that person is going to suddenly um, change down the road. You may continue your evolution, and that in itself will determine the direction of that relationship. So, and there's, I think there's so many other aspects to this that could be discussed, but obviously not in this forum. And I think it goes without saying that everything that I have said in terms of uh, the intimacy aspect, you have to know what, and I'm not using the word values in the sense of the morality codes that we've been given. I'm not interested in that. What I'm interested in is me and my authentic feeling. Um, what I want for myself, what I expect for myself. Is there a need? Do you feel the need to have to be with all these people, multiple people? And if you do, that's because there's something that you're getting from it and something that you still need to fulfill as well. I mean, and vice versa. So this is not about a right or wrong or a good or bad thing, but it's just looking at you and where you are in your belief system about relationships, your deficiencies as well as your abundances as well, in terms of love for yourself and your ability to love another person as well. I think it all just comes down to, no matter which way we go, it comes down to back to you. It comes back to the individual. And I think when we start doing that, we really start to free ourselves in the sense of the relationships that we uh, really draw to us, and the kind of expectations that we are placing on other people, perhaps sometimes to accommodate our own deficiencies once again. So I'm trying to see, is there anything else, in this 20, well, maybe like 20 minutes that I've talked, or 25 minutes. I think maybe that will do it for right now. To me, those are really key things. Um, to go even deeper, I think those are really key things. People want to talk about tantric um, sex and all of that, which is fine. But I think that we sometimes, again, it's so distracting and it's so external. We sometimes like the romanticizing about certain things. We like to kind of get lost in things that sound good. We want to, we're into that. But I tell you what, it's still always going to come back to you and how you feel about you. Still going to come back to that. And to me, that is what's going to determine the icing on the cake. It's going to determine how the icing on the cake goes with that person that you really feel bonded with. To me, that's it. It's really not that complicated. It only feels complicated when we choose not to look at our belief systems and the baggages that we come with. Again, connected to the belief systems that we have about what a relationship is or what our expectations are. One more thing that I want to say is, when I talk about man and woman, or male and female, I look at this from the standpoint of a frequency, the male frequency and the female frequency. It's a positive and negative charge in the sense of frequency, not in the sense of good or bad, but the frequency. And I do see that each one of those frequencies have a specific role, just like you plug put a plug into a wall socket. I think they each have a specific role that they play because of the frequency, because of the vibration of each. And so I think, for me, I embrace that. I embrace that. When I say I embrace that, I embrace that from the standpoint I can embrace my partner, my male partner, from and treat him, as a man, as my mate, as that, the frequency of woman to give in that sense, whatever that means, whatever nurturing, loving, whatever it is, that frequency has those components. That's a huge part of who we are as women, and I embrace that, and I'm okay with that. But at the same time, yeah, I can get out there and I can be a businesswoman. I can be these things, but it doesn't take anything from the fact that I love who I am in that sense, that femininity, that frequency that allows me to express being a woman and being nurturing and being gentle. And at the same time, there's a male aspect as well. So we have both. We just one is more prominent. In a woman, the female frequency is obviously more prominent, and in the man, he has the same thing. He has that male frequency, and then he has also the feminine frequency, lesser of that, but the greater frequency of being male. And so he also has his role that he plays, which is because he's built for that, he's designed for that. And at the same time, he can be gentle and nurturing and loving as well, and in his male role. So I think, we have to look at that. We have to look at how these two frequencies put it in that context. I am not one for just saying, oh yeah, well, I am woman, just, respect me because I'm woman. I give birth. I don't need to demand any of that from you. That should just be automatic, just as I'm going to give you the respect as well, because you are male. I'm going to give, so it's this give and take. It's not a competition. We each just have our roles. And when I say have our roles, I don't mean, the woman does the cooking and the cleaning, and the man doesn't do it. That's not what I'm talking about. Although I happen to like doing that stuff. I love to cook. I cook all the time, and I love to clean. I love that. And then I'm who I am with all the other stuff. And I'm okay with that. So there isn't a competition with that. As long as if you're in a situation where it's sort of expected that you do this because it's expected, then you have to examine that. But if you can you can balance. And sometimes you have the men who love to cook and they love to clean and they're really good at that too. And that's okay. So just give up the competition. Come back to self. See what works for you. See how you feel about yourself. If you're in a relationship right now where you're kind of wondering where it's going, is it working? What do I do? Again, focus on you and what you want for yourself right now. What do you feel about yourself right now? Not about the deficiencies of that person, but you. Because it's going to come down to, can you live with what you view as the deficiencies in that person? So it comes back to you. Come back to yourself. Take it back from being so external. Comes back to you on whatever level at all. And there'll be somebody who will click dislike on here. And guess what? Once again, I love it because you obviously took time to listen to the whole thing in order to dislike it. So at least it got you thinking. So I'm good with that. Whatever you want to do, I'm good with it. All right. So if there are any topics that you would like for me to talk about, then let me know. And I am going to be doing a giveaway. I'm doing one right now, conscious reality management. There's a video that I put up, I think 2 days ago, which would be, what is that, January 10th or 11th. You like my Facebook page, go to my Facebook, and you'll get that free download. And I will be doing a giveaway I'm not sure exactly what it is yet, but I will keep you posted. This is for YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can know when I'm posting videos. And thanks again. Visit my website, spiritinform.com. Take care.